There it is. So we're going to get started. We're going to do something not totally outside of the norm. We've done similar practices before, just not very often because I'm a super flow teacher. Like I love the flow. Previously, I was a power teacher. So I love like that boom, boom, boom. So it's always nice to kind of balance it out. So we're going to balance it out today with a gentle flow. So things are a little bit nicer, a little bit longer holds, a little bit slower movement. And then there's a few poses that will stay in them yin style. So we'll stay in them for a little bit longer period of time. And so we're kind of balancing all the flow that we sometimes get into. So find a comfortable seat. Find a comfortable seat where we can get started and either close your eyes or find a focal point to focus on and just breathe. Knowing that this time is just for you, you and your mat. The hardest part of a yoga practice is actually just getting on the mat and doing something. So you've taken the first step, and then we'll move through the body. We're going to really tap into really all areas, but we're going to give some extra love to our hips. So don't think we're going to neglect the upper body. We're very much going to show love to the upper body. And like I said, longer holds, slower movement. And if you notice, my camera angle is different because we're actually not even going to stand up today. That's how gentle we're going to go today. And I keep saying gentle, and there's a couple poses where you're going to be like, this is not gentle. That's where that yin style comes in. So starting with rolling the shoulders again, our very infamous alarm clock for the body. Taking some time just to bring in some movement, just to tell your body that things are about to change. And then relax the shoulders down and torso circles, just however you want. So this is a time where your hips can lift up, your knees can move. We're going to isolate movements in just a moment, actually. So make this like as big and floppy as you want. Like a big old, what are those sandwiches, sloppy joes. Yeah, just let it all just kind of fall off. Of course, those are like not sloppy joes, but cheeseburgers. They're my favorite when like the cheese is just melting and dripping off the side. Change the direction of the circle with your torso. So think of yourself as like a big old melty cheeseburger. And if you're a vegan, it can just be, vegan cheese and, a black bean burger. We can change it up. I'm an equal opportunist. I'll eat it all. There's food. I'm there. One more circle all the way around. And then sitting up nice and tall. So we're going to isolate movement. So we're going to create movement right at that brow line, right at mid chest. We're going to go through it twice, very limited. So we'll go forward, side, back, side, forward. And so it creates like a rectangular shape. And then we're going to make it a little bit smoother, a little bit more oval style. Doesn't always get there. So taking a breath, lift your chest forward, really at the brow line. So there's a little curvature in the back. On an exhale, take this right side over. Next exhale, that same brow line takes it back. Even if you don't wear a bra, you probably know where it is. Inhale to the left. Inhale forward again. Exhale right. Exhale back. Inhale left. Inhale forward. Now try to take it into a smooth, semi-isolated movement. So we're trying to isolate the movement right there at the brow line. Now, it doesn't have to be a smooth looking oval. It can be a clunky rectangle. Maybe it turned into an octagon a little bit here. That's okay, but have less movement in the knees and hips. But know that it's okay if those knees and hips are moving. They call this a Sufi grind, and it's actually meant to mimic Kundalini, Kundalini is the serpent energy that runs along the spine. Through the Shushuma energy channel. I couldn't remember the energy channel. It's called Shushuma, and Ida and Bengala circle all around it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. Half the time I don't know either. Next inhale, bring it back upright. And we're going to take it in the opposite direction, starting that slower rectangle shape, and then we'll bring it into that smoothness. So inhale, lift up right at the front brow line. Exhale to the left. Exhale back. Inhale right. Inhale forward. Exhale left. Exhale back. Inhale right. Inhale forward. And then try to take it into a circular motion. So I never get it into a circular motion unless I start with that rectangular shape. And even then, sometimes it doesn't happen. And quite frequently, I lose it. It's all about finding movement here. The more movement you have there, the more you can breathe. The bigger your breath can be. Next, inhale, bring it back up right, and then roll over to your tabletop. So we're going to be on the knees for not a long time, but a moment. So if you want a little cushion in your knees, you can always put a little roll on the mat. You can always grab a pillow or a blanket. There's lots of options. So from your tabletop, I want you to walk forward into a melting heart pose. So your alternative to melting heart is child's pose. So know that. Melting heart, you typically keep your hips over the knees, walk the hands forward, chest towards the mat, and then chin or forehead to the mat. So it's a fairly big back bend, but you're ready for it. We just did those 2-5 grinds, but maybe you're not ready for it. That's when you're welcome to take a child's pose. So we're going to stay for several breaths. We've been here for several already. So several times we're going to stop in poses, yin style. Not quite 3 minutes, but a length of time. On an inhale, pull yourself forward into a Sphinx pose. So down onto the belly, forearms down on the mat, elbows pretty much underneath the shoulders. So there does need to be a little tailbone tuck here. A little tailbone tuck. You really want your pubic bone touching the floor, not those bony hip points, okay? It's not always comfortable for everybody, but I just don't want you to have pinching in your low back. Alternatives can be legs wider. Alternatives could be crocodile, stacking your forearms up in front of you, placing your forehead on the mat. So as we stay here, we are breathing, obviously, but I'm going to let you decide where your head goes. So maybe you want your head hanging down, maybe you want your head lifted up, somewhere in between. Just make sure you're not putting stress in the neck. Find your perfect little Sphinx pose, and then add in a half frog. So right knee pulls up on the right side, so knees in line with the hip, ankles down from the knee. And then there's a little flexion in your right foot, just enough to really create a 90-degree with the joint. You just don't want it pointed because that's just really too easy. Knowing that it's very much okay to be leaning over to your left hip right now. That's okay. Stay here for a couple more breaths. As we continue to stay here, you have a choice, and most likely your body will decide for you. You can keep your knee bent, or you can lengthen your right leg long and wide to the side. So you'd be on the inside portion of the arch of the foot. Don't do it if you're having to tense the right leg. Don't do it if it's causing tension in the right leg. Just do it if it's comfortable. What's funny is I practiced this pose last night and it was much more comfortable than it is now. And if that's not a testament to how our body changes every single day, I mean, I practiced this just 17 hours ago. Next inhale, take that right leg long and behind you. Switch it out. Left knee comes into half frog. Keep the knee bent. We start with the knee bent. Even if you think you're potentially going to straighten the leg, keep it bent for a moment. Know that you can always change variations on each side. So perhaps you went straight on one side and you're going to go bent on the other side. Very normal. So you have the option with that left leg. You can keep it bent or you can lengthen it out wide to the side. You're just not allowed to put tension into the body. Few more breaths in our Sphinx half frog. Next inhale, left leg goes long behind you. Lower yourself all the way down into crocodile if you're not already. And once you place your forehead on your forearms, just rock your hips side to side, just in case any tension crept up into the body. Bring it back to center and push yourself back up into a tabletop. So this tabletop is used as a transitional pose. And I'm going to give you the option to also, if you didn't want to take tabletop, you could take down dog. We're going to go directly into a lizard pose, which seems really early in the practice, and that is the idea, almost yin style. So whether you're in tabletop or you're down dog, take your right leg, step it forward into a lunge. Now you decide how big this lunge is. So you could have your hips pulled back in more of a marriage proposal. Perhaps you have them a little bit more forward. It's your choice. Arms are on the inside portion of your right leg. Now, I don't want you to go so deep that you're in your fullest intensity and fullest expression of the pose. Pull yourself back a little bit, and I want you to stay right here. And then I want you to scan your body. Are you holding tension anywhere in your hips and pelvis? Are you holding tension trying to pull yourself back? Because if you are and you're trying to decrease the intensity, then pull yourself back for real so you don't have to hold the tension. So we hopped into the pose very early in the practice without a lot of warm up, and that was the idea because we're going to tap into more of connective tissues, mostly your fascia, less into the muscles. That's why I don't want you squeezing, tensing, or pushing. Really just stay here and breathe. As you stay here, notice if perhaps you're ready to go a little deeper. So perhaps you want to take it to forearms. Or maybe you're just happy on your palms. Find the variation that works for you. Taking another breath. Come back to your palms if you're not already. Pull your hips back. Take that right leg, tuck it back under either tabletop or down dog. That's your choice, whichever one you choose here. Take a moment. Notice how the body feels a little bit different from one side to the other. Very normal. And if you don't feel anything, that's okay. Sometimes effects don't show up for a long time, or sometimes they're so subtle they're not perceivable, and that's okay. They'll come in time. That perception comes in time. So whether you're in tabletop or down dog, take your left foot, step it forward. Lizard pose, in yin they call it dragon, so it's the same pose. You decide if you're in a little bit more of marriage proposal or if you're in a little bit deeper of a lunge. Whatever you want here. On your palms, take a moment just to breathe here. So again, scan the body. What's happening? What do you notice? Are you holding yourself back? Which, honestly, if anyone's going to hold you back, it's probably yourself. So let's work on that. So let's not hold ourselves back. If we need to change variations, we're welcome to change variations. I did come off my palms. I made fists, but you're welcome to find any variation you want. So perhaps you take it down to your forearms now. A few more breaths. I'm watching the clock. Trust me. As someone who cannot count to 3 while teaching a class, you really shouldn't trust me, but I watch a clock. I specifically have a clock with seconds on it, so I can watch it. On your next inhale, come back to your palms if you're not already. Pull the hips back, either tabletop or down dog, your choice. Take a moment just to breathe. Notice the different sides of the body. We're going to do the same thing with half pigeon pose. So you decide if you want to go from tabletop or down dog. Again, very early in the practice, the whole point. So take your right foot, right leg, pull it forward. So knees behind your right hand, foot closer to the left. Left leg's long behind you. So let's start off pretty high in a proud pigeon. Striving to keep your right hip off the mat. You really want to keep it pretty square. It doesn't always happen though. So stay upright in a little proud pigeon, in a little back bend, which we've already prepared our body for with melting heart and sphinx. So let's just breathe. So it is pigeon pose, but when we're proud, I feel like we're much more like doves. And then I made that comment one time and someone said that pigeons and doves are in the same family. They're just like pigeons are just like the, ugly stepchild. On an exhale, take it down into a sleeping variation, whether it's for arms on the mat, for head on the mat. That being said, I'm looking forward to watching someone release pigeons at a wedding, so I'll let you know if that happens. As you stay in this pose, one, release all tension. We're not tapping into those muscles right now. We're trying to get into connective tissue area. Also, though, you have that option that if you do want to add in a little bit of work, you could work on bending the left knee. You could work with the ankle here. You can bend and lengthen, whatever you might be looking for. And maybe you just want to like take a little nap in your sleeping pigeon pose. That's allowed. I have snored myself awake in more yoga classes than I can tell you. Taking in a breath. Walk it back up to your palms. This is where fun comes. We're going to rock to this right hip. So we can take the left leg, swing it out in front. So we're in a seated position. Don't worry, we'll go back to the other side. So left leg is long in front of you. Your right knee was already bent with the half pigeon. We're going to pick up this right leg, this bent right leg, and we're going to hold it, the left hand into the right foot. Now, your right hand, it might grab the knee. You might be able to tuck it in and get it into the elbow. And we're going to rock this little baby. We're going to rock this baby that is our leg. And we're striving to rock just the leg. Sometimes we end up rocking the entire body, and that's okay. But rock this baby, rock your baby. This baby does not cry. This baby does not have dirty diapers. This is probably my favorite kind of baby. So enjoy this baby that we call your right leg and rock it. You could add circles here, whatever kind of movement you want to put into that hip joint that might be screaming at you a little bit right now. And then take this right knee, cross it on top of the left knee. So you're crossed knee on knee. Of course, we know not everyone gets knee on knee. You're striving for it. Side of the right foot is down on the mat, not the sole of the foot. Now you have the option. You can keep this left leg long, or you can bend the left knee, so long as both hips are on the ground and you're not sitting on this heel. It doesn't matter. We're going to add in a twist. But at the same time, we're still tapping into our hips a little bit. So we're going to, we have the right leg on top, which means we're going to twist to the right. The left arm goes to the right side of the right thigh. Right hand's behind you. Taking in a breath, lift up and lengthen. As you exhale, you're going to pull your right hip back first, twist through the abdomen, open the chest and shoulder, and then turn your head just to a comfortable spot. Now you have two options here. Because this is a little bit gentler of a flow practice with the option of yin. So there's two ways you can practice this. You can practice this twist, inhale, lengthen the spine, exhale, twist deeper, continuing with that practice, trying to go deeper and deeper. The yin style is you find your twist and then you settle in. And I don't want to say you slouch, but you get a little bit more comfortable. You're not going for a full twist. You're not going for your biggest twist. You're just going for a twist because your spine's going to enjoy it regardless. So you get to decide how intense you want to go here. I'm a little bit more settled in. I'm a little bit more comfortable. And comfort's allowed. Couple more breaths here. We're just breathing. Just keep breathing. Next, inhale. Come back to center. Keep your legs as they are, though. And then on an exhale, hinge forward. Chest towards your right thigh, arms out in front. So the beauty of keeping the left leg long in front of you is you get an added hamstring stretch that we don't get if you have both legs bent. So sometimes people feel like, oh, I'm taking the easier variation. No, you're not. You're getting bigger benefits from it. So don't ever feel like you're doing less because you take a different variation, because you're still working. You're still getting something. In fact, you're getting something a little bit more in this variation. So make sure you're not holding that tension. You're not squeezing your thighs. Let them go. Some people, when they are stressed, carry stress in their hips, or when they're in the moment of a stressful time, they squeeze their thighs together, they clench their backside. And so this pose is a form of stress, but it's a good amount of stress. It's the right kind of stress. And if you learn to relax in a stressful yoga practice, perhaps you can take that off the mat and learn to relax in stressful situations off the yoga mat. I say perhaps because it's always a practice. We're never perfect. On your next inhale, walk it up, untangle the legs, and windshield wiper them side to side, which might feel really, really good right now. It's one of those counter poses to some of those longer held poses that we were practicing. And the good news is we get to do half pigeon on the left side. So roll it over either to tabletop or down dog. You decide. You already kind of went to one already, so probably just go back to that one you were doing before. And then we're going to take pigeon on the left leg. So left leg pulls forward, right leg's long behind you. We're starting off very proud, like that pretty white dove that people pay a lot of money to release on their wedding days. But they're not coming back to you like a pigeon will. So there's pros and cons. Breathing, lengthening and lifting the chest with your breath. And on an exhale, walk it forward into your sleeping variation, either for arms or for head down. And then once you get there, check in. Make sure you're not squeezing, tensing, trying to change intensity by holding muscles. Let it go. Just breathe. Taking in a breath, walk it back up to your palms, rock to your left hip long enough so you can then swing your right leg out in front. Swinging that right leg out in front. So we can grab this bent left leg that is now our baby, and we're going to rock the baby on the left side. So find that rocking motion. It's like having twins, but again, less mess, less stress, less work. You can always do circles instead of just rocking. Strive to rock just the knee. And take the left knee, cross it over the right. So you're striving for knee on knee. It doesn't always get there. Right leg can either stay long or bend the right knee, so long as you're not sitting on the hip. And I feel like we practice this pose Monday. And what I practice Monday is very different than what we're practicing today. So like what my body was capable of looked different on Monday than it does today. Very normal. So we're gonna twist first, twisting towards this left leg. So take the right arm to the left side of the left leg. Left arm reaches behind you, taking in a breath, lengthening up. And as you exhale, we're gonna twist, pulling the left hip back first, twisting through the abdomen, then the chest, the shoulder, and then turning the head just so it's comfortable. We're not trying to stress it, strain it. And then again, you decide. Do you want to go for a bigger intensity, for a fuller expression, or you just want to settle in? Every time I settle into the twist, I feel like I should have a drink in my hand, like, bourbon with 2 drops of water. It's been sitting out, getting some air for, 12 minutes. That's exactly how my husband drinks his bourbon. On your next inhale, bring it back to center. Untangle the legs, windshield wiper the legs side to side again. We just did all that hip work. And all of a sudden now I feel like my hip needs to pop. Like, why didn't it pop in any of those other poses? Keep going. And then sitting up with your feet on the mat, knees bent, but take your feet out a little bit wider and then even out away from you a little bit further. We're going to go into a seated, it's similar to a seated variation of a happy baby. So our arms come on the inside portion of our legs, but then we're going to reach under and grab our calves. So it's like we reach underneath the legs and then angle the wrist back, grab hold of, I have my ankles. You might grab your calves. Don't go so far that you grab your feet though. And then we're going to take in a breath, lengthen up, exhale, pull yourself through. So my elbows push into my hamstrings, and that's my leverage to help hinge a little bit further. I don't hinge very far forward here, but I feel it. It's like my body says, wow, pretty intense. Not gonna lie, this is actually a, I was gonna say premarital, that's not right. Prenatal, just as bad. One, it's meant for pregnant women. It's a great stretch for pregnant women. And I've taught lots of prenatal yoga, and some of those poses just feel good in my body. So we continue to practice them. Don't let yourself get comfortable here. Keep going deeper. Keep going further. And then on your next inhale, sit back up. Bring the legs back together just long enough that you can roll over back into tabletop. We're not going to be there long. So once you get into your tabletop, we're going to go into frog pose, which is one I feel like we've neglected here a lot lately, and that I absolutely love. So in your tabletop, turn sideways on your mat. This is so you can roll in the edges of your mat should you want to. This will help cushion your knees. That being said, if you're in this pose properly, you won't need to cushion your knees because you're not going to be on your knees. You're going to be in the inside portion of your knees. But this option is there for you. I'm going to let mine go because I definitely didn't want the cushion the other day when I did this. Once you get there and you've rolled in the edges of like your mat, should you choose to take that, you're going to take your knees out so wide that you're on the inside portion of your knees. So for less intensity, feet come closer together. For more intensity, your ankles are in line with your knees. Come down to the forearms and then push the hips back so they're in line with the knees. And I'll tell you right now, if frog pose is just not in your wheelhouse today, take a child's pose, okay? Oh, super wide leg child's pose. You're going to get a similar benefit. But if you're in that frog pose, there potentially is a little arch in the back. You can keep it pulled up. It's way more work than I like to put into it. So sometimes my back arches enough that my belly rests on the floor. Yours not on the thighs, on the floor. My belly rests on the floor. That might happen for you as well. And if it doesn't, don't feel like it should. Mine probably gets there a little faster because I enjoy eating more than anything else in this world. I spend probably 95% of my life planning out my next meal. So stay here and breathe. This is one of those inner thigh stretches. Taps into the low back. This can be done if you have two blocks. You can place it right along your inner thigh, so it basically rests. Your pubic bone rests on those blocks where they meet. But those blocks are going deep, y'all. Okay, they're gonna get in there really far, farther than most people in the world have ever been on your body. So blocks is fabulous. Really makes things a lot more comfortable where you could stay for a longer time, but it's hard to find that sweet placement. I have one friend, she's willing to put it up there for you. And if you absolutely hate this pose, you're in good company with other people. I absolutely love this pose. Just a few more breaths. I won't keep you here forever. On your next inhale, There's no graceful way to do it, but you're going to come out of it. So you have a couple options. You could step the knees in closer together. You could allow your hips to go forward and you sink down. But it doesn't really matter. If it's difficult to get out of it, that's how you know you were in the right spot. And then I want you to work your way down onto your back. So maybe you just flop down and roll over. So get down on your back with your knees bent. With your knees bent, take a moment just to breathe, noticing sensations, noticing emotions. I had a couple tell me the other day in the middle of class that they absolutely hated me. They cursed me the whole time, but they loved me afterwards. So it's okay if you curse me in a class. I can take it. Now take your right leg, reach it up high for the sky. Let's do some ankle circles. Change the direction of your ankle circles. Put your right foot back down. Take your left leg, reach it high for the sky. Do some ankle circles. Change the direction of the ankle circles. And then hold your leg up, add the right leg into it as well. So both legs are up. You decide if you want your feet flexed or if you want your toes pointed, but just take a moment, hang out here. Hang out here. If your legs are shaking, it's okay. But this is one of those quote unquote restful inversions. So think of this as though you're practicing a handstand. Like feel how strong you are right now. On your next exhale, bring your knees into your chest. Hug them there. Take a moment. Hug them in close. You can rock side to side if you want. Next exhale, take both your knees to the right side of your body. Really take your arms out long and wide. And then I'm going to give you the option. You can keep the arms long and wide, or you can reach them overhead. Oh. So you're going to feel a little discrepancy in how far one hand reaches versus the other one. And one that's normal because your body's slightly twisted. But also, I just want you to feel the arms grow longer, grow taller. Next, inhale. Bring the knees back into the chest. Hug them there. Squeeze in close. You can rock side to side if you want, or you can just hug in. Next, exhale. Take both knees to the left side of your body. And then take the arms into the T shape. And then decide, do you want to stay in a T shape because that's what your body likes, what it's used to? Or do you want to just totally change it up and take the arms overhead? On your next breath, bring the knees back into the chest, hug them there, squeezing in really close and tight. Really thanking yourself for coming into the practice today, giving yourself this gift that is a yoga practice. And on an exhale, send yourself out, prepare yourself for Shavasana. Whatever your Shavasana looks like, perhaps it's legs long or knees bent, arms out or in, on a pillow, under a blanket, whatever it is you need to be fully comfortable. And when you get into that sweet, sweet, comfortable spot, either close your eyes or find a focal point to focus on. Lengthen and deepen your breath, allowing yourself to relax and giving yourself the rest that you deserve. Bringing the awareness back into your breath, back into your body as you start to bring in those little movements into the fingers and toes. Rock your head side to side. Roll to one side of your body into a fetal position. Take some time, breathe. Notice the energy that we created in this practice, because obviously this practice is different than what we typically go through. This one was a little bit slower, a little bit, I don't want to say gentler, but it was gentler. Less muscle involvement, a little bit more into fascia. So notice if there's a difference in energy right now. Notice if there's a difference in the way your body feels, a difference in the way your body feels. And perhaps there is, perhaps there isn't, perhaps it's just not perceivable right now. On your next inhale, push yourself up into a comfortable seat. Once you get into your comfortable seat, whatever your seat looks like, either close your eyes or find a focal point. Bring your palms together at heart center with all of the gratitude for joining me in practice today. With everything in me, thanking and honoring everything in you. Namaste.
Namaste. Have a good weekend.
Awesome. Thanks. You too.
Namaste, Deanne.
Thank you. Are you home yet?
No,